How well are you able to create perspective in a moment? To distance yourself from a thought, a feeling, or physical sensation that might influence and determine your performance. To be able to take a moment and understand that you don't have full perspective in that moment, and therefore you cannot determine if something is good or bad and jump to a conclusion. In today's video, we're going to talk about the importance of finding perspective to be a high performer. Hi, my name is Allgood, and as I mentioned, we're going to talk about finding perspective and the importance of being able to find perspective and different ways that you can find perspective. All too often, it's super easy to jump to a conclusion in a moment when we don't have perspective, to label something as good or bad. And finding perspective, one of the core components of it is to understand that in a moment you don't have perspective. And so you need to be careful with whether you label something as good or bad, and to just let it be and to let it play out and see how it plays out and allow yourself time to create perspective. When you're in the heat of the moment, it's very hard due to a lot of things to have that perspective or to create that perspective. So one of the best things that you can do is just to know you don't, and therefore don't jump to a conclusion. If you've started to develop the skill set to be able to now create perspective in a moment, then one of the things that is very, very helpful to be able to do this is your self-talk. And that self-talk can be there to help you in understanding that you don't have full perspective, and therefore hit a pause button or put a pin in your judgment on whether something is good or bad. Or if you're able to use your self-talk to create perspective in that moment, you can, to have a little bit of a conversation with yourself to help you to understand that in that moment, the way that you see something is going to be very different than the way you will see it a year from now, 6 months from now, even maybe 2 weeks from now. And this is super important because we truly do not know how things are going to play out. And if we jump to that conclusion too soon, we then create a story around how we think things are going to play out. And that can put us in a certain type of mindset, frame of mind, looking at things a certain way that can then influence our performances moving forward. And another thing that can definitely help you with creating perspective, and this one's probably a little bit more outside of that moment, like self-talk is something you can do in that moment, is a change of scenery. Sometimes we get kind of in this bubble of our world and we lose perspective, or we're not able to see different perspectives. And so sometimes it's great to change scenery, and that doesn't have to necessarily mean that you physically move from your physical location to change scenery. For some people, they do that. That's what they need to do in their lives, and it's obviously at a certain time of their lives where they can do that, and it's helpful. But sometimes it can just be changing who you hang out with, to find people to hang out with who are not athletes or who have maybe different views than yours, and this helps you to expand your view of yourself, of your world, and to see things through a different lens, to create different perspectives. And that also is an exceptionally important thing that you can do. Another thing to help you to create perspective after maybe something has happened, if you've given yourself time, is just to talk to somebody, right? To talk to somebody about their view on it, on the situation, because that, if you're open to it, can help you maybe broaden your perspective and help you to see that the way that you maybe framed something in that moment is not really the reality of what is existing. And so this is a huge part of your ability to choose how you want to respond, which I've talked about in other videos, and the importance of this. Your ability to choose how you respond is one of the only things you have full control over. And the ability to gain perspective helps you to be able to choose how you want to respond. And in a moment, that can simply mean that you know that you don't have full perspective. And so you're not going to react based off of the perspective you have, which can help you then maybe more clearly respond with a calm, clear mind.